I honestly thought the game was done. I honestly thought India lost this game. I even let you know that I'm just gonna stop watching. And this was on day 4 when Harry Brook and Joe Root were just hitting it to all parts of the ground, milking the bowlers like nothing was happening on the pitch. And I honestly thought, here we go again. Basketball's doing it again. England's gonna win the match, and that's it. The series is done. And next thing you know, I get a message from you saying, "Hey, Brooks out, Bethel's out, Root's out," and I turned it back on, and I just saw like the energy change completely. And then we fast forward to day 5, and Mohammed Siraj bowls one of the spells of the series. In fact, he had many in this test, and he literally single-handedly takes India to a win. Shout out to Prashant Krishna, but Mohammed Siraj was the man today.
No, could not have said it better. I'm a bit better myself. This entire test match had its up and downs. The fifth day had its up and downs. And if both of these are not reminiscent of the entire series that had its up and downs, one moment England had their nose in front, the next India's fighting back. And if we're talking about the fifth test, which will be our focus today, it did seem like it was Mohammed Siraj versus the world. He just kept steaming in. When India did seem like, shoulders were dropped, energy was low, it was him on the fourth day, last session, hyping up the crowd. Even after he dropped that catch off Harry Brook, he was still
Yeah.
pumping the crowd up. He was still steaming in. And the fourth day, last session, the turn of the events, you get President Krishna as well doing his part. The momentum shifted, and then as you clearly pointed out, coming back today, and it's Siraj with Krishna hunting the England wickets down like a pack of wolves. It was literally them hunting the English batsmen down. They were on their heels. Every ball was an event. And if this does not make you a fan of Test cricket, I don't know what will. Ups and downs, you don't really know what the decision would be, what the deciding runs would be up until the last moment. And of course, I'm a big believer in sports and cricket being very poetic. Very poetic ending with Mohammed Siraj getting the bolt and sealing the win for India.
Yes, this was the finale that we needed, and this was this finale that the series deserved. It didn't feel right for either team to, or for England to win the way that it looked like they were going to. And to get that final fight back from India was just fitting of how the series has been going back and forth, as you said. And for India to find the belief from literally nowhere to pull off the victory was insane, because we've seen it the other way around, where India has been ahead in the matches that they lost, and England were able to do what India did to them today. You can think about Lords, where India were the favorites to chase on that target, and England found the belief out of nowhere. And the same thing happened today. Finally, it was India's turn. But again, we have to talk about Mohammed Siraj some more. We have to give this guy his flowers. So there's a presser at the end of he did a few at the end, but on one of them, he shared how he woke up this morning and he couldn't sleep. He usually wakes up at 8 o'clock, and he woke up at 6 a.m. and he couldn't get any sleep. So he was only thinking about the game, and he wanted to tell himself to believe that he could still do it. And think about what happened. You mentioned the drop cash, like to still think about believing that he can perform well is insane. And then he downloads this picture with Cristiano Ronaldo. We all know how much he loves Cristiano Ronaldo, that has the word believe on it. And somewhere on the internet, you'll find the picture of what that looks like. But how fitting, as you said, how fitting was it for him to do that and then show up to the game, do what he does, takes the final wicket, and then celebrates with the Sioux. Just phenomenal. Like, you can't write a better script.
No, you cannot. You cannot. And it was great to see the appreciation of Mohammed Siraj, not only by his teammates, but by English commentators, English team as well. Ben Stokes had some high praise
The
for him.
whole
And why
cricketing
not?
world.
The whole cricket world, because you see it 5 days, relentless coming in, and as you mentioned in your opening monologue, spell after spell, it seemed like whatever Shubman Gill wanted, he was ready to deliver, and we saw it on the fourth day as well when shoulders were dropped, energy was low. he was still steaming in. He was still hyping the crowd up. He had the ball in his hand. He was at his mark, and he was still hyping the crowd up. So you could just tell the amount of energy and the amount of determination that he had under him. Fast forward to today, coming in his overs, steaming in, getting the first wicket in his first over of the day. Because we know I think Prasad Krishna started off a little slow with two boundaries, but as soon as he got that wicket, I think it was of Bethel or was it Jamie Smith?
It was Jamie. It was Jamie Smith. It was Jamie
It was
Smith.
Jamie Smith. Yeah, yeah. When he got the wicket off of Jamie Smith today, you could just tell that both him and Prasad Krishna smelt blood in the water, and nothing was going to stop them. And you saw it, and it was very, very nice to see.
Yeah, in fact, Prasad Krishna as well. When he was talking to DK shared that he asked him how was it at the start of the day, and Prasad Krishna said in the first couple of overs he couldn't feel his legs, like he couldn't get his legs to the crease, like he was struggling to get rhythm. But he said as soon as Siraj took that wicket, like everything just came back and he found his rhythm. And you could see that when he got, I think he's the one who got tongue out, which was again phenomenal ball. And that entire hour, and we'll get to Wokes in a second, but that entire hour was just phenomenal to watch. And I know you watched it live and I watched the replay after, but even when I watched the replay, it felt like I was watching it live. So even though I knew the result, every ball was an event. You always
Yeah,
felt like something was going to happen. The crowd was packed. The atmosphere felt so great, and India's planning was phenomenal too. It felt like they had a very structured plan. They knew what they wanted to do at each moment, and you felt like India just were able to hold or take the pressure better than England in those moments.
yeah, yeah. No, exactly that. I did definitely see it. And I hope it was clarity of thought in the leadership group when it came to
Yeah,
a plan, a field, field placement. Because as you mentioned, every ball matters. You're trying to restrict the twos to ones, the threes to twos, and you're obviously trying to make sure there's no boundaries. So a lot of planning was done, and you saw that by the field placements, as well as India not taking the new ball. There was a lot of discussion of India should take the new ball, but the ball was doing well enough. And I think that was a great call by them because the ball was moving and it did seem like Siraj and
yeah,
Prasad Krishna. And I've been very critical of Prasad Krishna, and I'll definitely give him his flowers this series. But they had the ball moving and a great execution towards their plan. A lot of deception as well. A lot of field placements toward the boundaries.
yeah.
Thinking of the short ball. And then I think both Prasad Krishna and Siraj with beautiful, beautiful Yorkers that ended up getting two important wickets.
Yeah, it was just so beautiful to watch the way that entire hour just played out. And then when Tongue got out, England were nine down, and almost everyone thought that the game's done. Like Wokes can't be coming out here, but you knew, and I knew as well. Like there's no way with I think it was 17 runs left. There's no way
Yeah.
he's not coming out. If it was 100 runs out, maybe he wouldn't have come out. But with England being so close, I felt like if I was in that position, I would have felt so bad. You would have felt like you're letting your team down. And so for him to be able to sum up the courage to just come out there and with one hand, literally with one hand, it's like I don't know how to feel about it because it's like part of me wanted to see him like how he's gonna shape up, but the other part of me is happy that he didn't because who knows what could have happened.
Yeah, but hey, Wokes is a tough, tough cricketer. We've seen that his entire career.
Yeah,
There's also discussion of this potentially being his
his last
last
test match.
his last test match, right? So, maybe he deserved a better ending, but I think, for him, a tough cricketer, it really did describe who he was throughout his entire career. And I think, the crowd, both Indian and English, stood up on their feet when they saw him coming in. And, I think all of us as well, you give respect where it's due because it's definitely not tough. And you saw him grimace when he's getting those singles and doubles in.
Even when
He,
running.
gr-
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. But, similar to Rishabh Pant, he kind of held it down and wanted to make a difference for his team. And he definitely, definitely did that.
Yeah, definitely a fighter, definitely a warrior. And we saw that from every single player throughout the series on both sides. you could see that both teams were trying their all the entire series. And again, I can't say enough about this ending. It was such a perfect way to end the series. And now that the series is tied 2-2, I think that's a fitting result too. I don't think either team deserved to lose. Obviously, from an Indian bias, we would say India had. It felt like India played the better cricket more than England for majority of the days of the entire series. And I believe there's stats on it too, where India won more sessions,
Yeah,
they won more days in the series. So you could argue and say that this because it could have easily been 3-1, 3-1 for India. Somebody would say 4-0 for India because in every single match, the match that they got outplayed, they were able to draw it,
yeah,
right? Which was Manchester. They got completely outplayed in that test match, but they were able to pull off the draw. But the other matches, it was mostly England coming from behind and winning.
yeah,
So, I mean, from an Indian side, Indians will say, yeah, India should have won that 3-1 or 4-0, whatever. And then from an English side, any of the English fans, I could see them saying as well, yeah, England could have been 3-1 up or 4-0 as well, or even 5-0, some might say.
yeah. No, 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 no. I definitely do see that. And
Yeah.
if
Actually,
we,
but I will say that they did get dismantled in Edgbaston, the second test match. I think India clearly were ahead that entire test match. So I think we'll give India one. So you could argue and say that England could have won 3-1 or 4-1.
yeah, no, no. And I was just about to get there because if we go a little bit back and look at a little bit the fourth day when
Yeah.
Root and Harry Brook were batting. As you
Yeah.
mentioned in your opening monologue, it did
Yeah.
seem like it was done and dusted.
Yeah.
It did seem like, I think they're trying to get 371, 376,
Yeah.
whatever that score was. At that time, it did seem like it was a lot, but Harry Brook and Joe Root made it seem like it was very, very short. That India
Yeah.
left some runs on the board. And I guess that's part of the test match because, as you mentioned, a lot of the shoulders were dropped. A lot of the fans as well thought the game was dusted. But kudos to Harry
Yeah.
Brook and Joe
Right
Root.
here. Yeah, I completely gave up hope at that point, and it just felt like there's no way England even overnight. Part of me was like, yeah, it's still India still needs 4 wickets. There's only 35 runs left.
Yeah,
And yeah, okay, even if you leave Vokes aside, you still need 3 wickets. And the English lower order is not as fragile as India's lower order. They definitely can stand up and hit the shots as you saw Atkinson do, right? So you always felt like England were a couple of big hits away. But once again, just the fight, just the tenacity that India showed, it just made me feel so good to know what you can expect going forward from this team. They're never going to give up. They're always going to fight right till the end, and that was just great to see.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The ball was definitely zipping around, and I think you could kind of see that perhaps even the English players, maybe the lights were a little bit too bright in the sense that high pressure game. The winning runs are always the hardest ones to get. If we just focus on Bethel and Jamie Smith, their feet look like they were in cement, not moving at all.
Yeah, the
At
pressure got to
fifth,
them.
playing at balls at fifth, sixth stump. And you heard even Ravi Shastri say that you're allowed to leave the balls in Test cricket. But
Yeah.
India had a plan and they were going towards Bethel and Jamie Smith, sort of teasing the balls on the off. And that's what happened. They were teasing the balls. One of the balls had their name on it, and boom, that's what really brought India back into the game.
Yeah, I honestly think you could say Brooks' wicket was a turning point, but I think it was
Yes.
Bethel's wicket. I really think it was Bethel's wicket. Yeah, you needed to break that partnership. Even if you did, like you would say, like the odds were in England's favor to win that match. But you saw when Bethel came out, he looked a little tentative, and
Yep.
then he played a rash shot. As you said, he wilted under the pressure. He played a shot where he stepped down, he stepped out, and he mishit it onto his stumps. And it felt like that partnership then put pressure on Root because Root was batting like he's been batting this entire series, like on another planet. And he
Yep.
was he was making the batting he was making batting look so easy as the ball was hooping around. Then all of a sudden he started feeling the pressure. And then I feel like that sequence between Brooke getting out to Bethel getting out put pressure on Root, and then Root got out, and then you felt like, okay, it's game on.
Yes, and Root, how did he succumb to pressure? He played to what many call his kryptonite, little short ball, fourth, fifth stump,
Moving
little
away.
check swing, moving away, going right
Yes.
down to, and that's what it was. India was trying that all of day four. He did not bite all of day four. But
Yeah.
when the pressure came on, when the ball obviously I think conditions wise as well, the pitch definitely got in the favor of the bowlers near the end of the day. So the
Yeah.
ball was obviously moving a little bit more, but pressure definitely got to him because I think definitely at that moment the English batters definitely thought about the pace of play a little bit more. The runs weren't coming too easily, not as at least what they were used to in the middle session.
Yeah.
So they were a bit of an uneasy in terms of the pacing of the cricket, which I think India was really good at in terms of not letting them get the runs, not letting them get the boundaries. So yeah, as you pointed out, the pressure of the dots of the scoreboard really got to them. And yeah, kudos to the Indian bowlers and field placements for really turning it around late day four and early day five.
Yeah, it was just epic. You felt on day 4 when Root and Brooke got into that partnership, they seemed toothless. And
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
just so weird. And DK, I think, once again asked, I forget which bowler he asked, but he asked like what happened after T where they were able to turn it around. And I think the bowlers just said that honestly it was just good batting. Like there's just nothing they could have done. They were just playing so well. And if you look at Brooks' innings, like, Root's going to do Root things. He milks the bowling, but Brooks' innings was absolutely phenomenal. To play the way he played with the ball moving around like that takes some cojones. And he was able
Yes.
to do it so easily where he was hitting the good balls for four. And I think that's what India was saying to DK, the bowlers were saying, is like, we couldn't have done anything. We were bowling our best balls and he was hitting it for fours. And when
Yeah.
that
No.
happens, it's super deflating.
Yes. No. No. 100%. And Harry Brook, we know all about him. Man of the series on England's side. A little controversial as well, because I know that is selected by the opposing coaches. Some were saying that Stokes deserved it, but I think Harry Brook, from maybe perhaps an impact perspective with the bat, especially if you look at some of the sessions he's played, like the fourth day, very very impactful. It did seem like he really did allow India to have really no questions for him.
Yeah, I honestly don't understand that pick. I don't understand it at
It's
all
got the Gambhir's
because
pick,
I just don't get it. It makes no sense to me. I would say Stokes had way more of an impact than Harry Brook.
100%.
I would say Root had way more of an impact than Harry Brook. Harry Brook played well in the games that England lost, if I'm not mistaken. Because even at Edgbaston, he had that big partnership with Jamie Smith. But but England lost that match. And then this match as well, he made his 100. He put India under pressure, but once again, England lost that match. I wonder if it's just Gautam Gambhir doing Gautam Gambhir things and be like, I'm not gonna give it to the best player.
Of
I'm just
course, it's
gonna give
Gautam
it to
Gambhir.
him.
Of course. Don't you remember that famous Gautam Gambhir video of
Yeah.
the he had to pick between Messi and Ronaldo, and he picked Marcus Rashford?
Oh my gosh, no, I don't know about this.
Oh, I'll send it later. It's very we got viral. A random like he was running those random TV moments where they're like, "Oh, pick Messi or Ronaldo." He's like, "I prefer Marcus Rashford." But that just got to Gambhir, always against the grain. But hey, what are your thoughts on the flip of England's head coach choosing Shubman Gill as a player of the series? Because we all know, for example, Shubman Gill most runs in the series,
Yeah.
first series as a captain, did extremely extremely well with such a inexperienced squad. But others were saying Siraj should have got it. He was sort of the engine. He was the momentum shifter. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that was a tough one with India because you could say Siraj, and I would have given it to Siraj too, just based on the fact that it was mainly a series where batters dominated the ball for the most part,
Mm,
and it was hard work for the bowlers. And it was really the oval where they got a pitch that did a lot
yes.
throughout each day. Whereas some of the other pitches that they played on, there was nothing in there for the bowlers. That's why you had, I think, the most hundreds in the series for a long time. I don't have this actual stat, but there was a lot of hundreds in this series, and that's rare to see these days with some of the pitches around the world. And so the bowlers had to bowl on a lot of flat pitches. So I felt Siraj deserved it from that perspective. Because Shubman Gill did score when the ball wasn't doing as much as well. Yes, he had that 100 in Manchester, but even that one, it ended up being a flat wicket, right? So you could say that in a series where the batters dominated the ball, to have a bowler stand out like Siraj did, and where he's also one of the only bowlers in the series that lasted all five tests,
Yes.
bowled at the same speeds all five tests. I mean, I would have given it to Siraj.
Yeah. No, no. I completely agree. Again, really focusing on the 50. I know you mentioned the pitch, and I completely agree with you. Pitch was, I think, a really great pitch at the Oval. I know there was some controversy before the game started with Gautam Gambhir getting into a little bit of a bickering match with the pitch curator. But I think on the flip, England might be upset at the pitch curator because you create four roads. Series is 2-1. Why don't you create a road for the fifth test and guarantee an England series win? But
Because
it is what it is. The pitch
yeah,
worked out for Team India.
yeah, it was very strange, and I think even Stokes said it on one of the I think it was a pre-match conference where he said he's been wanting a pitch like this for the entire series, and he gets it on the final test, and
Uh,
yeah, it was a strange option because it gave India a chance to win the match, and but you felt that in conditions like this, England would hold the edge with the way that they play, and you saw that they almost pulled it off. So they weren't too far off, right? They almost still pulled it off, and you felt that in conditions like this, with the ball moving around, England would be the better team because they're more used to playing in conditions like this. Whereas the flatter decks, you could say that the Indian team would be better off on those wickets because they're more closer to what it is like at home in India. So I felt like it was a good pitch for England. It's just India had more fight on the day. India just had more fight. They came close, and I know we're gonna dive further into the match, and maybe we'll keep going here with it. You could say that England in their first innings, they missed out on an opportunity to get a 50, a healthier lead, like a 50 or 100 run lead, because even in the first innings, after the start they got with with the openers Crawley and Duckett, where India looked helpless at a certain stage, even in the first innings, and they were able to pull it back. I remember the score was 92 for nothing.
yeah,
In nothing, as in no time at all. It was like 12 overs, and England were almost at 100. And then from there, India were able to bowl them out. So essentially getting the 10 wickets for 157 runs after that.
yeah. And I think, I know we definitely talked a lot about Siraj, but speaking on that first innings, Siraj did end up getting Pope, Root, and Harry Brook out, which are some big wickets to your point to restrict that great start that Ben Duckett and Crawley put them on course for. So again, you see a little nose in front from England, but India through Siraj was able just to keep the momentum really swaying in England's way.
Yeah, yeah, he had a phenomenal match in both innings, and that's where I felt also India were able to keep the match alive because they could have easily been trailing by at least 100 or 150 runs, and they were able to keep it alive there. And then they came out to bat, and what a performance with the bat in the second innings, where just
Before
like in
we
the
get
first
there,
innings, yeah, yeah,
before we
yeah,
get there, I definitely do think we got to give one shout out for India's
yeah,
first innings batting performance. Someone
yes,
really got a 50 that they deserved. That I think
yes.
there's again, we talked about Siraj, we talked about a lot of impactful innings. Karun Nair's 57. If we look at India's entire scorecard, he definitely needed to do that. And India definitely needed that for something for the bowlers to bowl at.
Yeah, that's a great shout. Yeah, Karan Nair, you have to give him a shout out. He was under pressure coming to this game. He only got a game because India decided to go with an extra batter, which I think was the right choice on this wicket with the way it was playing. And he repaid them that faith, and he scored that 50 that was really needed. Because if you leave his 50 out, India would have been it would have been short on a par score. I think they had a par-ish score. 250 would have been nice, but they got something, and it was mainly because of Karan Nair's innings. It was a fighting innings.
Yes.
He did look comfortable like he has been all series. It's just been he's been getting out at odd moments.
Mhm.
It wasn't that scratchy. He hung in there, he fought, he played the best he could, and ended up being a really important knock. And even Shubman Gill made sure to give him a shout out in the
Yes.
presser after.
Yes, yes. I think you reached such a good point on the faith provided to him because he was on
Yes.
the fence looking into this, coming into this test, and perhaps not getting that faith throughout his career, and finally getting that from whether that was from Shubman Gill or Gautam Gambhir, he repaid it back because to your point, that 50 plus score is what India needed to be even be close to what we consider par in the first innings.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That kind of held that innings together. We got a few starts from other players in that innings, but his innings got into that 224 mark, and then from there we talked about England's innings, how England were able to get off to that great start, and then India pulled it back. 47 is what England put up. And then there was a lead of 20 something. It was like 20, what is that, 23? And
Hmm.
it was just going to be it was a one innings bat off. It was literally a
Yes,
one innings bat off. Like,
exactly.
which team's going to score the most runs in the final innings of this amazing series? And that's exactly what happened. Jaiswal started off with a century, ends off with a century. And what a century it was
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I think definitely, because he did have a little bit of a mute performance in the series in
in the
comparison
middle.
to all the other batters, right? But he was
Yeah,
so important. And to your point, that second innings 100 was super important because, again, if you look down the scoring list, you needed someone to make a big 100 or, what they call a daddy
yeah.
100. And he definitely gave that.
And he got support was from an unexpected, I should say, unexpected commodity in Akash D. What an innings out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, 66 from 94 balls. It was one of those like annoying pain in the you
Yeah.
know what type of innings if you're the opposition.
No, 100%. And I was seeing on social media as well. If you look from far enough, if you're at a far enough distance with the beard, with his right-handed motion, remnants of broccoli in that innings from Akash Deep.
Jeez. And he was batting at number 4.
But no, to your point, super important, and yeah, definitely took England by surprise because, as you mentioned, came on as a night watchman. His goal was to protect India's captain Shubman Gill. He did way more than that, and obviously, I think from a bowling performance, he's a little bit mute in the second innings. But that batting performance, each run, as we saw, India winning by 6 runs, was it worth its weight in gold?
Yeah, that innings was phenomenal because it sort of made up for Shubman Gill's failure. Um,
Yes.
Shubman Gill has looked good in every single innings in this series, and in the final innings, I really thought that he would put together a substantial score, not a big score, but even a 40, 50 is what I thought he would put on, and for him to get out. But Akashdeep's innings offsetted that, so that helped India a lot. And then towards the end, Ravindra Jadeja pulls out another 50. What a
Consistent.
series. What a
Consistent.
series he's had. And it was the first time, I think you mentioned it on our chat, that it was the first time he got out in the second innings.
Yes. He literally all 4 games previous to this did not get out in the second innings. I think one game he didn't get a chance to bat, but every other time net out. This match, 50 plus score. I think his average for the series was 70 plus, maybe 80 plus with the bat.
Yeah.
Ridiculous when you look at what he brings with his
Yeah.
experience, fielding, bowling. And I don't see him going anywhere. I really don't. And I hope he doesn't because that package internationally is super great. And we haven't even discussed about what he brings domestically for any tours that are happening in India
Yeah.
because he's a lock both ways. And again, what he brings and as a left-handed option as well, super important. And this entire series, consistent.
Oh, man. Could have said it better. And then the other spin bowling all rounder, I think his innings there at the end, that partnership that he had with Prasidh Krishna, that you could even say was a turning point because India were 9 down for 357 and he was able to add another 39 runs with Prasidh Krishna and he literally went into T20 mode. Talking about Washington Sundar here. What a 50 that was. I want to add before you go, I want to add that um in the last test match, if you remember, Harry Brook, when Washi was getting close to his 100, and the whole handshake gate, India didn't accept the handshake because they wanted the centuries, and Harry Brook was like, "Get on with it, Washi, get on with it," and Washi definitely got on with it in this innings, in the second innings, where he showed what he's capable of from a boundary hitting perspective.
Clean hitting. I think after 160, had to change the ball as well. That's how
Yes,
great he hit it. And again, this was not off of the bowling of Brook or Ben Duckett. This was off of England's fast bowling attack.
yes,
So no, you can have no quarrels there. And it was a quick paced attack, as you mentioned, with some of the limited options that he was batting with. But I think
yes.
his performance this test match, his performance this entire series, there will be questions on where does he fit? Is he a number three? Could you bat him up the order? Because he just looks so technically sound. He could be patient, as you mentioned in the fourth test. He could be explosive as well, as we've seen in this test. He brings in so many options, and I know they tried him with the ball as well. It did drift a little bit, but again, not too much from a surface perspective from him today. But what he brought from a batting perspective in the second innings was super and super important. And yeah, those sixes really mattered because India did win by 6 runs at the end.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely gives India options because he's a bowling all rounder as well. It's going to be so interesting when India play at home because they're going to be able to have put up a longer batting lineup while still having a lot of bowling options. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, what a performance by him throughout this match and the series. And yeah, it was a test match that you just couldn't take your eyes off. It was series that you couldn't take your eyes off. Anything else you want to add on this test match specifically?
No, I think we covered most of it, but I think yeah, from we covered the stats, we covered the different impacts and the key players, but from an emotional perspective as well, it was just incredible to see. We saw tears in the crowd. There were some commentators. I think Jared Kimber said this on his podcast that he felt moved in the last hour of the test match through different events. From Wokes coming in to Siraj getting his final wicket to show that no, he's here.
Yes.
Believe in him. It was a very, very emotional test match for Team India, especially going through a transition period. A lot of questions coming off from two series defeats as well. I think India really, really needed this. And I do think Siraj potentially did save Gautam Gambhir's career so far. So, because there's definitely
Yep.
questions about him and sort of him leading the white ball side. Him leading the red ball side. But India can never, and I can never write them off.
Yeah. Swerve thought to England. They put out
Yes,
a good fight. Once again, chasing down 374. Most teams these days chasing down 374, you wouldn't think about it, but England somehow, some way are always able to give these targets a proper chase and a proper
yes.
fight. And they don't collapse in the fourth innings like they used to. They're able to somehow either win the game or get very close to winning the game. And you saw that again where they got off to a decent start. I want to talk, we've talked about Siraj a lot, but again, that day four wicket as well, when England got out to bat in the second innings and Crawley and Duckett looked like they saw off that hour of play pretty easily. And then
Day three,
Siraj,
day three.
was it day three? Wow, day
I
three.
think it was
Yeah,
day three,
sorry.
end of day
Yeah,
three,
yeah,
end of
yeah,
day
yeah.
three.
You're
Yes,
right.
yes.
You're right. Day three.
But you're
Wow.
right though. There's so many things that happen.
So many things that happened that I forgot what day it happened on. But yeah,
Yeah,
end of day three, it looked like England reached the end of day no problem, unscathed, no wickets down, and all you see is Siraj and Shubman Gill place a backward square leg,
yeah.
setting the field for a short ball, and Crawley completely falls for it and gets a Yorker instead, and that was magical. And that's when I should have known that there's no way the test match is gonna end just in a limp or just one team easily winning. Like it was definitely gonna be a dogfight, and it turned out to be a heck of a dogfight.
Yeah, no. And unfortunately at Lords, it couldn't end on Siraj's account, but Siraj
Yeah.
made sure that this test match ended on his account. He wanted to make sure that he called the shots, and we definitely saw that.
That's absolutely right. So we'll definitely dive deeper into a series preview on the next episode, where we'll dive deeper into how the players did, how the teams fared, and how the series turned out as a whole. But until then, this was a phenomenal watch, this test match, and we can't wait to do the series review. But for now, that's stumps.